Welcome everybody to Dutch Illumineers. My name is Kamresh, also known as Graphic Media. I'm playing also a little bit of Disney Lorcana in the community. I'm here together with Justin Morales, who has played at the Kolonisten. We're going to talk about his deck in a few moments. I got also some other questions about it. First of all, I want to thank everybody for watching the tournaments that's already live on our channel. Welcome to our show. How are you?
I'm feeling good.
You're feeling good.
I mean, it's always good to come out after a win.
We're going to talk about the deck that you have used at the Kolonisten. First of all, I want to know what's your background in the trading card games. How long do you play trading card games?
Hi, I'm Justin. I started playing trading card games when I was like 13. I had a friend who got me into Magic. It was illegal in our school, so we would like secretly play it in a corner at school, and I learned it that way. Eventually, I ended up picking up Lorcana because I'm a Disney fan. I grew up with a lot of Disney movies, and honestly, I have a lot of fun playing Lorcana. I was previously a Blue Steel player. I played Blue Steel Wheel, and I top 4'd Bochum with a crazy Blue Steel list that had 62 cards in Scuttle. And ever since I got 20th place in the at the European Championship, and sometime in between, I won the Dutch Open 3 times. And lately, well, I'm fresh off a win at the Kolonisten's Easter tournament with 88 players.
Yeah.
I won the Enchanted Elsa. You could see it on my bookshelf over there.
Nice.
And it's been hard after the Hiram bans, but it was nice to know that I could play a deck other than Blue Steel.
When did you start with Disney Lorcana?
Oh, I started as early as set 1.
Set 1.
Yes,
so also from August 2023, you started buying the boxes, creating your own decks?
It's funny. Like I was at the Dutch Open.
Dutch Open,
for
yes.
Rob, but for Magic.
Oh, for Magic, okay.
Then like this a friend of mine, Yarit, he brought Lorcana starter decks.
Yeah.
And in between rounds, he was like, "Oh, you want to try to play this game?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll play it. I mean, why not?" Then it was actually pretty fun, and ever since then I decided, I want to try this out.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna play it. Which starter deck did you use? Do you know that? Can you remember?
The funny thing is, like, it was not the Blue Steel starter deck. I thought that was the worst one among all of them. It's like, oh yeah, this one has one grab your sword, but then like other than that, I think I was playing the purple yellow one.
All right.
I was like, I'm playing aggressive cards in Quest, and I saw friends on the other side. I was like, wow, this is really good. It's a pot of green.
Which other Disney Lorcana events did you participate in? Next to the challenges, because you also, Dutch Open you already said.
Yep.
There you started. That was in 23?
Played several Dutch Opens, actually. So
yes, you won the first one, I think?
Yeah, I won the first one, the second one, and the most recent one.
One. So, okay, yeah.
Well, I think all except one.
And after that, you played at the Kolonisten then. That's also a big event with 88 players. Other big tournaments that you played in that you know? Of course, set championships you also.
Yeah, of course. I grind set championships. The Netherlands, I mean, it's not a very large country, so there aren't as much large tournaments. I think the Dutch Open was the biggest one we had.
And how many challenges did you participate in?
I played at 3. So I played at Lille.
Yes, the first one.
Yeah, where I got top 128. I got to let it go.
Yeah.
Then Bochum, of course, which is my breakout tournament, where I got top 4 with Blue Steel. And Bologna, where I didn't make it to day 2, unfortunately. After that, it was Birmingham. Unfortunately, I would need a visa to go to the UK, so I didn't get the chance.
What color is your favorite color to play in Disney Lorcana?
So I guess like I would say Steel would probably be my favorite color.
All right,
so I started with Amber Steel as in set 1, which was my first competitive deck. Then I shifted to Blue Steel in set 2.
Yeah.
And I kept Blue Steel all the way till this set before the bannings.
Because after the Hiram ban, you think of,
I had to step back from Sapphire, unfortunately. It wasn't the same. I just love, I think what made Steel fun for me was that A Whole New World was such a great card. Like, there were times where, like, I would have absolutely lost the game, but then I was like, oh, I top deck Whole New World, and, like, I feel like I'm back. Like, this is it. Steel also has a lot of good removal options in card draw, so I feel like the color does a lot.
From set 2, you played Sapphire Steel.
Yeah.
All right, set 2 till set 6 then.
Till set,
set
half
7.
of set 7.
Half set 7. After the Hiram ban, you stopped playing it, and then you switched to Emerald Steel.
Yes. The funny thing was like Blue Steel was like a very like indie deck back then. Like it wasn't people never considered it like a top tier deck.
Yeah.
It was something that like well, people played because they were very passionate about the gameplay.
Yeah.
Then suddenly in set 7, like it got a bunch of insanely good cards,
Yeah.
and suddenly like Blue Steel was all over the radar, and yeah. Then they banned Hiram and Fortisphere, and the deck's not the same.
What's your most memorable moment of Disney Lorcana at this moment?
I think like the moment that like made me like sort of like it's my signature moment that made me kind of famous was in my top 4 match against Ruben G. Very good player. He was in Ruby Amethyst that time. Um, in the second game, I out of nowhere played my Enchanted Bell and the second dime, then Lord for 10 and immediately won the game. I remember that moment because like when you play the tournament in the challenge and you're in the feature match area, you're in this isolated like room with a special corner.
Yeah.
Just so that you can't you get to focus and be away from the noise of the main
Yes,
tournament.
yeah.
But when I played the second dime and dime bell for 10, I could literally hear the shouts from the tournament hall from the people who were watching the match, and that made me feel great. Like it was insane.
Yeah. What do you think about the community?
I think the community is like very nice. Like it's very supportive. I've had very friendly opponents. Like you could see my game against Ruben G. Even when we were losing, we're smiling, we're having fun.
Yeah.
I think it's partially because it's a Disney card game. It's a very wholesome. It's a very wholesome IP. So I think people generally have a very positive mindset when they get into the game. And so far, it's been great. Like I just came from the tournament in Ravensburg, and the one of the best parts of going there was like seeing so many familiar faces. I caught up with Hard and Sweet, with Primor, with Lorcana Villain,
Yeah.
and like it's really cool. Getting the community is like has been very. They've been very supportive. They're very welcoming, and I think that's part of why the game has been growing.
Do you have any predictions at this moment about the set championships and which archetype is gonna be played the most? Do you think after Ravensburg you saw last weekend? Do you have any prediction for yourself or?
Well, on one hand, I have to say that purple decks are quite popular here in Europe. Like Ruby Amethyst is a deck which some players are very like they've had it since like way back, and they play until now, and it's pretty good right now. So you could always expect some level of it. But it's I would say that would be my normal answer. But
Yeah.
the thing is like some crazy things happened in the previous weekend. Like Cherna Dogs won the tournament.
Yeah.
And that deck looks like a blast to play. You like
Yeah.
vomit out like 20 different characters on the board.
Yes.
So maybe some people might be trying that out. And like my teammate Zan won with Jafar Wheel. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, it's the Jafar's like next set. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. He already pulled it
yeah.
off as early
Yeah.
as now. So honestly, one of the most fun parts about set champs is like, yeah, there are always going to be competitive players, but there are also
Yes.
going to be people who are going to bring like their wildest brews, and
Yes.
sometimes it works. And honestly, that's I think one of the best parts about this season. Like
This
you
season,
get
yes.
it's competitive, but at the same time you get to also see like a lot of new things.
So you are playing now at this moment in the group as the world class cards. How do you feel about that?
So I'm part of the Teamwork Class Cards, and we have some of the best Lorcana players in the world.
Yeah.
So DKP is in it, Zan's in
Yeah.
it. There's another Justin
Yeah,
Shaft.
yeah.
It's a bit confusing, but
Yeah.
he's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
We just picked up Daniele as well from Italy
Yeah.
to join the team. So it's a pretty good roster. And well, the challenge is you're in a team full of very good players. So
Yeah.
you always have to find your place, and to figure out like, okay, what value could I add? But it's great because we always get to test with each other. We get to like figure out like brainstorm like deck ideas, and honestly, getting to when I was in Ravensburg, just knowing that I have a few guys to go out for dinner after the tournament,
Yeah.
and just lay back and relax with in between rounds, it's great.
How many players are at the world class cards?
If I'm correct, my count is around 9.
Nine players at
Yeah.
this moment. All right. And do you meet up as often, or just when it's happening, then, or when a tournament is coming, or?
Well, we do have our
Meetings.
calls
Yeah?
regularly, but most of us are in the U.S. Like
Yeah.
over in Europe, it's just DKP, Daniela, and me.
Yeah.
But like, let's say we just had the Ravensburg tournament, and Robert and Kendall flew all the way here.
Yeah,
And
okay.
for me, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, because Ravensburg is not near an airport. Like,
Yeah.
but I also plan to fly to the U.S. probably for a challenge in the future or so. But when you're in two separate parts of the world, it could be hard, but we make it work.
Justin, do you think that you're gonna play this deck again with the set championships, or do you think you're gonna change something else in this more spiciness or something like that? Or
I would probably play a list, maybe change one or a few cards depending on the shop. But once I get the mat, I would probably swap decks.
Yeah.
Because maybe I would say play this deck if you really want to win the set champs, but also be mindful that a lot of players don't like playing against green steel. You ever
true.
watch like WWE and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I was like, if I felt like blue steel was the underdog deck,
Yeah.
green steel is like the bad guy deck.
Yeah.
So like I would say that I would play this like at least for the competitive parts. But if once I've gotten my mat, if I got what I need, then I would probably try some other wild brews. I will not spoil what those are yet, but
Then maybe
you'll find
another
out.
video will come up then. I think another video will come
Yes,
up. Yeah,
maybe.
Great, great,
Just
great.
it broke the meta
Yeah.
with this crazy new deck.
Yes, all right. What do you think? Because 30th of May, Reign of Jafar will come out.
Yeah.
Do you got any predictions at this moment or not yet? Or what do you think about that?
Well, I'm hyped for it.
Yeah.
I am quite a Jafar enjoyer myself.
You got the Jafar custom, right?
Yes, so fun fact, when I was in Bochum,
Yeah.
all right. So here's a funny story. So my hotel mate, Christopher, he told me before the tournament, if I lose to somebody who's in a cosplay at the tournament, I will never forgive myself. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh boy, do I have a surprise for you, man? So on the second day, I dressed up as Jafar, just to get a reaction from him, and he found it pretty funny. So
Right, great.
yeah, maybe it's time to bring out the costume again. Well, there are no spoilers yet as of now, but I can tell you that I have gotten my play set of Shift Jafars just in case.
Just in case, all right.
And I'm glad I got them before Zan won the tournament.
Yeah.
But maybe I should have gotten the Enchanted ones.
Ooh, yeah.
That was my regret.
Yeah. We are just diving into your deck. We see now on the table your complete deck at this moment, like the deck list. Let's start.
All right. So this is the deck that I played in the Kolonisten.
Yeah.
So let me start with the most obvious choice, Diablo, public enemy number 1 of the format. One of the best card draw engines for Emerald. Of course, we play 4 and 4 Diablos. This is the one thing of the list that no one should ever change. He's a very strong. He draws a card every turn, as you know, and possibly more if your opponent even draws. The hard part about Diablo is if your opponent doesn't have an answer to Diablo, they sometimes have to draw more cards to find an answer, which gives you also more cards. So very strong card. Over here we have Morph, who I'm playing 4 of. Morph, I really like this guy. He's the glue that holds the deck together, because Morph on his own is a 2/1 for 2, which is pretty bad. But Morph represents a bigger threat. He could turn into anything. He could become a beast on turn 3, a Pete on turn 4, Clarabelle on turn 5. So, or at times he could be even a shift target for Diablo. So Morph is something that when I used to play Blue Steel, I would kill Morph on sight. But for Green Steel, he just represents another threat that could turn into something bigger. He's sort of like the ramp of the deck by saving you some ink, by letting you put a bigger character into play earlier. All right, so another thing people have noticed about my list is I play 4 Prince Johns. And the recurring theme I have with this deck is I maximize my card draw as much as possible. So how does the deck draw cards? 4 Diablos, 4 Prince John, 4 Beast, and my idea is that I don't ever want to run out of gas with this deck. I always want to be able to draw more, because when you play Green Steel, you and your opponent are always going to be in top decking wars. And if my top decks are better, then I'm probably going to win. So that's the idea. I also felt that this card is in a good position right now. Like you're always I want to be able to get the most value from my discard effects, which is why I'm also playing 4 Hypnotizes. I want to be able to maximize my chances of emptying the opponent's hand, because when the opponent has to rely on their top decks, they're in a much worse position, and it's easier for me to take control of the game. The drawback of this, of course, is that Prince John is an abysmal top deck. Sometimes when you're very behind and you top deck a Prince John, you feel like he's not going to save the day. But the key to Prince John is that besides being a card draw effect, he also quests for 2, and he's very difficult to remove. So if at any point the opponent is behind on board, you can always just use John as a 2-quester, and sometimes like some players aren't aggressive with doing it, but it's something I like to do. Whereas I would just quest with John and force my opponent to have that Fox or have that like Rush Peter Pan. Okay, other cards of note. I'm on 2 Muses. Muses are one of the, I would say, best comeback mechanics for green steel. If you're behind on board, Muses can save your life. All you need to do is like just play a song, and you also get to return something they have to their hand. And sometimes against decks like Amber Steel, which flood the board with all these like low power characters, Muses can just like clear the entire house. Like you could play Ursula turn 3, Muses turn 4, you sing a song twice, and suddenly 4 of their characters are gone. And that is like unparalleled for this color combination. Pluto was my like my flex slot. This was like it was the last card in the deck I had to decide. I considered playing Lucifer, which was an all-star against blue decks, but because blue's decks were on the decline, I decided to go with Pluto, and it paid off because Pluto is very good against the purple decks. If the decks that don't have steel struggle with like dealing with a random 5/5 bodyguard, and sometimes you could see it in my games where like I play Pluto and I immediately decide, all right, it's safe to quest, and I could turn all my guys sideways. He's also really good against purple players who think that they could snipe Diablo with Peter Pan, because if you save your Pluto for the turn you quest with Diablo, it's a lot harder for Pan to catch your bird. A 3 Big Pete. Back then, the Amber Steel matchup for Green Steel used to be very close. And one of the things that has helped the matchup on the Green Steel side is this Pete. Back then, Amber Steel used to struggle with like the seven Ursula drop, yeah, Ursula Sea Queen, and Pete is sort of like the Sea Queen, except he comes down on turn 4. So he's an absolute menace for Amber Steel to deal with, and he can also swing the mirror as well, because like stopping the songs are very popular now, and stopping your opponent from singing songs is one of the ways to cut your opponent from doing one of the most unfair things in the card game. All right. One of the spiciest things about the build is the Clarabelle. This is what gets the most questions for this deck. So, what in the world is Clarabelle doing in a discard deck? Like, if the goal is your opponent has 0 cards in hand, why would you play a card that costs 7 and won't draw you any cards, right? Like, that's very weird. Um, my Clarabelle fits in my like game play, like my play style. So I like making the opponent have to play around 2 different things. So my main plan, of course, is to zero out their hand, to play John, empty their hand, and hope they're on top decking mode. But a lot of decks have adopted to this strategy. They're playing cards like Finders Keepers.
Yes.
They're playing all these extra draw spells, and this is where Clarabelle punishes decks, especially purple decks, for trying to play around this card. If the opponent tries to waste their entire turn 5, for example, drawing 3 cards without developing their board, I can shift a Clarabelle on my morph, redraw back my hand, and it's like a complete reversal. Not only did I put a big threat on board, but I also like recovered cards against my opponent. So it puts your opponent in a tough bind where like any attempt to play around my discard makes them possibly walk into a sudden Clarabelle. Um, I know that there were people who played the small Clarabelle to shift this on, but I feel like without any good items to destroy with Clarabelle, it wasn't worthwhile, and instead I just went with 4 morphs, which is the more flexible card. But yeah, Clarabelle's great if you expect a lot of purple, and in the tournament, you might see that in both my matches I played against purple, and Clarabelle is an ideal card for the matchup. For the song package, it's pretty standard, but you might also notice I have 2 Zeus and 2 Bruno, and this I think is also on my gameplay of making people play around 2 different things. So some players will play around Bruno by keeping extra cards in their hand, just so that the chances of them discarding their shark or their some big threat that they have would be lower. And this is where like Zeus comes in. If the let's say a blue red player or plays shark and they hold an extra card in their hand, they don't ink or something like that, I could just flat out Zeus their shark, then sudden chill the last card in their hand, which completely blows them out. So sometimes you just have to remove the shark against, like, let's say the DKP style blue red deck. Just getting shark out of the way sets the deck back significantly. So, and when I went into this tournament, DKP was fresh off a big win with a shark deck. So I felt that it would be a good meta call to run Zeus. And yeah, that's my deck.
That's your deck. Great. Nice. Yeah, when you start, which cards are you keeping and which cards are you mulligan in your starting hand? If you are on the play or on the draw, it doesn't matter, but which cards do you always want to have in your hands?
I've heard there are a lot of like green shield players have heard the old just mulligan for Diablo.
Yeah.
And while I agree with that on the blind, like for sure, if I don't know what my opponent is doing, especially if I'm on the play, I would try to like mulligan for Diablo.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm a lot less aggressive compared to other players when it comes to doing this. I'm a bit more conservative. If there are cards that I feel are generally fine, like I tend to keep morph in my opening hand, especially if I have beast as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a fine. I mean, for me, that's also a fine plan B, like having turn 3 beast, or maybe sometimes even saying Ursula would be fine.
Yeah.
But if, let's say, I have already one of the Diablos in my hand, I tend to be more aggressive with like trying to find the second piece. I never keep, well, I mostly don't keep songs in my opening hand.
All right.
Because the enemy could have the opponent could have their own Ursula, and even if I have the shift Diablo, we have so many actions in the deck. We have we have 20 actions, so like we could always find one from the draws. The chances are pretty good. But of course, in some matchups like Steel Song, you always want to have the sniping Ursula to steal their songs. And against the new red purple deck, and you might see it in the matches later, the deck is very good against answering Diablo. And one of my techniques to beat the deck is to not rely on Diablo and instead go for a full discard plan. So I keep John, I keep Ursula, I keep Sudden Chill, and empty their hand and hope that I get to snipe their card draw and hope that they don't top deck their card draw spell after I've zeroed them out.
If we look to this deck, we don't see one location that all the Emerald players are almost playing, the Hidden Cove. Why don't you play Hidden Cove?
Yeah, like a lot of Green Seal players will crucify me for like not playing Hidden Cove. In fact, many of the best Green Seal players out there, like my teammate Dale, he's a big fan of Hidden Cove.
Yeah.
I think it's because of, I mean, I'm saying Cove is great if you're on a Diablo-centric plan with the deck, but my gameplay is a bit more, again, I'm a bit more balanced out with how I play the deck. So I'm a bit less reliant on my Diablo, and because of that, and since I don't aggressively, like, I don't as aggressively mulligan for the perfect Diablo shift, I don't feel like I don't have the need for Cove, because like most of my game plan isn't focused around Diablo. Cove is a terrible top deck in the late game.
Yeah.
And I prefer to just use those spots for more card draw. But of course, if you're the type of player who loves, like, I want to have my Diablo as early as possible, Cove is fantastic. It protects Diablo from songs and from brawl and things like that. But at least the way I play Emerald Steel, I prefer like just having more card draw and having ways to answer my opponent's stuff. And Cove fits neither category.
This one is the Pluto was a flex spot.
Yep.
Did you have other cards, like you said also Lucifer, but did you have other cards that you have
that I was
considering to play or considering to put in your deck?
I consider Tinkerbell, partly because I also have Enchanted Tinkerbells, which
Yeah.
look beautiful,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, it would be a waste not to
Yeah.
play them. But I realized that the decks that Tinkerbell are good against, Muses and Pete are also generally also good against those decks.
Yeah.
So I felt that it would be like not solving a problem that the deck has. Maybe it would be a good idea to keep one so that whenever you play a morph, your opponent always has to think, "Oh, will he shift a Tinkerbell?" And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
could be
yeah.
the added value.
Yeah.
But in Kolonisten, I wasn't. I was expecting more purple decks,
Yeah.
and I felt that Tinkerbell wouldn't be the meta call for that
Yes.
situation.
At this moment, the meta is heavy on evasive cards in purple and in green. Banish their characters then.
Many decks that play evasive cards happen to struggle with dealing with Singing Ursula.
Yeah.
So normally my best bet is drop Singing Ursula turn 3,
Yeah.
and it puts them in a bind. They could play more evasives, but then they get like Yago, for example, 4/6,
Yeah.
huge character, still
Yes.
gets Storm Raged on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like a lot of evasives are soft to well, double Sing Ursula, or at worst, I could always sing Zeus to deal with their evasives. So at least that's the plan. The other best way to deal with evasive characters is just outrace them, because evasives also usually don't quest for a lot of, well, except for
Yeah,
Genie,
yeah.
which is a monster of a
Yeah,
card. But other than that, you could always you could always like raise evasives, and at least that's how I manage those cards. Like that's the good thing about playing Steel.
Yes. Yes. Steel is the most
Yep.
removal cards that's in the game at this moment.
Yep.
When I look at your deck, I see also 4 Peats. Why did you choose for 4 Peats? And also for the shift line, or just to let the other opponent player doesn't play any songs or any actions? Or
Well, I do think that with the exception of some decks like Burple, for example,
yeah,
a lot of decks are very reliant on their actions or on timing, let's say a Be Prepared or things like that. Pete is very strong when you have characters you want to protect. So there are times where, let's say, I see their hand and they have, let's say, if you cannot, let's say they have a non-song card that can kill Diablo, like Brawl or Fire the Cannons. Sometimes just shifting your Diablo, then immediately playing a Pete to stall that card, effectively net you an extra card.
yes,
Or like other good thing about Pete is like you can play Pete, and it makes the opponent have, let's say they have an uninkable action in their hand. Let's say how far I'll go, or Be Prepared,
yeah,
and they're forced to keep it in their hand so that next turn when you do your discard plan and you have a John in play,
Yeah.
you have more cards to discard. So Pete does a lot in this deck. He protects your guys. He keeps the opponent's actions in hand, and for many decks, he can also stall them from doing their critical turn. Let's say the opponent drops a Singing Ursula and you drop
Yeah.
a Pete, you effectively
Yeah.
delay them one turn.
yes. I saw also that you played against the Emerald Amethyst deck. What do you think about that deck against your deck? Or
So the Emerald Amethyst deck is the other Diablo deck.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It was pioneered in Belgium,
Yeah.
which is the team that plays it. They were all present in the tournament. Team Be Prepared. They're
Yes.
very good players. It's the matchup is, well, phase one is like how many Diablos do you have, but after that it gets a bit more complicated. Like it's a bit of a grind, and I feel like it's the purple green deck's advantage over Emerald Steel is it's more consistent, by virtue of having 12 shift Diablo targets, whereas I only have 4.
Yeah.
But the purple green's disadvantage is it doesn't have the comeback mechanics that Emerald Steel has. Once purple green is kind of behind on board, or once you're able to deal with their Diablo, they struggle a bit more. And that was my hope, that if I'm able to answer their main Diablo threat, I'd be able to win more in the late game. And it was a choice I made when I picked up Emerald Steel, knowing that some of the best players at the tournament were playing the green purple deck.
do you have any advice or something that maybe some already playing people need to know about your deck?
Emerald Steel is it's a bit of a hard deck to play. You're trying to manage a lot of things at the same time: your hand, your opponent's hand, the board. So as with all, just keep practicing. I think that's the best way to figure it out. There's so many different lines with the deck, but the best way to really get through it is to just keep testing, 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 and figure out if it's for you. Some people don't like playing discard, and I respect that. um, and it might not be your type of gameplay. Like honestly, Sapphire Steel was, for example, my favorite type of gameplay. Emerald Steel is I can't say I'm the best expert at the deck, but when I picked up the deck, I feel good with playing it because I feel like I could play it against any matchup. So yeah, my main advice is like practice, study all the different lines because there are different ways to do with it, and build the deck the way you want to play it. Um, like I can't say that my build is like 100% for everyone, but the nice thing about Lorcana is like you have 60 cards, possibly more if you play control decks, and you get to choose what to do with. And maybe some of them are sure. Like I wouldn't say cut Diablos, but some of the flex slots here, it's up to you. And if you have a list that you're comfortable with, just jam it in locals, bring it to tournaments, and yeah. Hope. I mean, it's not just about crossing your fingers and hoping you draw Diablo. It's about figuring out what to do when you don't have it too. So yeah, I'd say that Emerald Steel is pretty well positioned in the meta right now. I think it has a lot of play. And if you do take Emerald Steel to your set champs, I hope that you get to shift your Diablo turn 2. And if not, at least I hope you get to empty their hands.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
I hope to make a YouTube channel eventually.
Yeah, great.
Once I have to get a better camera before that. But for now, you can follow me on Twitter, Dr. J. Cellier.
Yeah.
Funny story about the name. The lore is like, so I was a Magic player. Jace the Mind Sculptor was my favorite. Planeswalker, and Dr. J. Cellier was basically an edit of like Dr. Cellier on Jace. So it's like a play on the name, and also because my name starts with a J.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a random fact.
All right, good, great. Nice play, Matt. Do you want to give anybody a shout out to or something to tell to them?
Yep. So I'd like to give a shout out to Tabletop Kingdom. It's my LGS. It's where I play Lorcana the most right now.
Yeah.
Of course, to my team, World Class Cards. You guys are great. To my friend Martin, who drove me to the Kolonisten tournament even after he had like this wild rave the night before. A true man of dedication. And of course, my friend Rob as well, who was the only other Dutch guy who was brave enough to go all the way to Ravensbrück for the tournament. He top 64. Happy for you, man. And of course, to all my Dutch friends in the community here, thank you very much. It honestly, like, if not for the great community here in the Netherlands, I probably wouldn't have continued with this game. So, yeah.
I will thank everybody that's watching to this video. Of course, Justin, also thank you that I'm able to come over here and to watch your deck, and I have now more ideas in my head to play it. And yeah, maybe I'm gonna try this also at the set championships. Maybe if you see my name somewhere, then maybe I have this deck with me. I don't know yet for sure. But thank you everybody for watching. Just follow us, like us, comment something, and do you like this content? Please let us know. Just maybe you have some last words for the viewers at home.
Yep. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next DLC. I hope by the time this video comes out, they announce it, or anytime you're in the Netherlands. Good luck with set champs, everyone.